In the heart of a dense forest, nestled amidst towering peaks, lay Lake George. Its waters, dark and still, mirrored the ancient trees encircling its banks, creating an eerily perfect reflection that hardly anyone could resist admiring. Yet, beneath its serene surface, a chilling secret waited to engulf the unwary. This is the story of a group of campers who ventured too close, awakening the vengeful spirits of the Native Americans who once called this land home. The group, eager for adventure and stories to tell, ignored the warnings. Local legends spoke of shadows moving beneath the waters and whispers carried by the wind, dissuading most from nearing the lake. But laughter and excitement filled the air as the campers set up beside the infamous Lake George, dismissing the tales as mere superstitions. As night draped over the forest, a campfire crackled, casting a warm glow against the cool darkness. The campers, wrapped in the comfort of friendship, began sharing stories. It was then, amidst the echoes of laughter, that the first chilling signs emerged. The wind carried a low hum, an unnerving chorus that seemed both far away and uncomfortably close. One by one, the campers fell silent, their eyes drawn to the lake. The water, previously calm, now rippled as if disturbed by unseen forces. From the depths, faint, glowing figures emerged, their forms barely human, eyes hollow with centuries of sorrow and anger. These were the spirits of the Native Americans, protectors of the land, drowned by betrayal and forgotten by history. The air grew colder, breaths turning to mist, as these spectral figures advanced towards the campsite. The campers, frozen in fear, could only watch as the spirits spoke of their pain, their voices a haunting melody that threatened to consume all warmth from the world. They told of how their sacred lands were defiled, their people massacred, and their existence erased. But their anger was not blind. They sought recognition, not revenge. The lake, their final resting place, held the power to either bless or curse. As the night deepened, the spirits gave the campers a task: unearth their story, share their truth, or be forever bound to the lake's depths, another layer in its dark history. One camper, braver than the rest, stepped forward. With a trembling voice, he promised to carry their message to the world, to ensure their memories lived on. The spirits, their presence now almost peaceful, faded into the mist, their departure as mysterious as their arrival. The next morning, the campers left with a newfound purpose. Lake George, once a place of leisure, had transformed them. No longer could they deny the past's power, nor the responsibility they bore to the spirits that lingered. Years later, the story of that night by Lake George spread far and wide, a chilling reminder of the past that haunts us all. The lake, now respected and feared, serves as a testament to the spirits' undying watch over their sacred lands. And for those who listen closely, the wind still carries an ancient melody, a warning to remember and respect those who came before. Thus, Lake George remains both beautiful and terrifying, a place where history's shadows dance just beneath the surface, waiting for the next unwary soul to venture too close. Deep in the heart of a remote wilderness lay Lake George, shrouded in whispering tales of dread. Unseen beneath its placid surface, sinister secrets lurked, awaiting the shroud of night to disturb the living. It was here, by this cursed lake, that an old fishing cabin stood, its timbers creaking, windows shuttered against unspoken fears. One chilling autumn evening, as a dense fog rolled over Lake George, Ethan and Sarah, an adventurous couple drawn to the allure of the unknown, arrived at the cabin. Eager for a weekend escape, They were unaware of the dark history clinging to the very air around them. As night descended, an oppressive silence enveloped the cabin. The couple settled in, dismissing the feeling of unease that crept over them like the fog outside. But as the clock ticked towards midnight, a sudden splash from the lake shattered the silence. It seemed mundane, a fish leaping for its nocturnal feast, yet something felt unnervingly off. Ignoring the tension, Ethan suggested they retire. But as they attempted to sleep, the floorboards groaned under an invisible weight, as though something, or someone, was pacing in the room with them. Sarah clutched Ethan's arm, her fear palpable. Then, without warning, a piercing scream echoed across the lake, propelling them out of bed. Frantically, they searched for the source, but found nothing. Returning to their room, they froze in horror. Written on the fogged window, from the outside, were 3 words: leave or drown. Ethan wanted to believe it was a prank, but the dread in the air was too thick, too real. Deciding that they had to leave, they packed in haste. But as they turned to the door, it slammed shut on its own, locked from within. The cabin shook violently, as if caught in a tempest. The walls bled shadows that twisted into grotesque shapes, whispering vile promises. Sarah shrieked as an unseen force lifted her off the ground, her body contorting unnaturally. Ethan, desperate, grabbed a nearby fishing rod and swung it through the shadowy figures. To his astonishment, the shadows recoiled, releasing Sarah. They realized then, the lake spirits feared the tools of their aquatic domain. Armed with makeshift weapons, they fought their way to the door, flinging it open, only to face the lake itself. The water churned violently, as if boiling. From its depths, ghostly figures emerged, moaning in agony, reaching for the couple with waterlogged hands. Realizing escape by land was impossible, Ethan and Sarah made a terrifying decision. They dove into the lake, swimming beneath its surface to avoid the grasping spirits. The water around them grew colder, the pressure insurmountable, as if the lake sought to crush them in its depths. Just as their lungs screamed for air, they surfaced, gasping, on the opposite shore. Behind them, the lake calmed as quickly as it had raged. The spirits retreated into the depths, their curses fading with the night. Ethan and Sarah staggered away from Lake George as the first light of dawn pierced the darkness. They vowed never to speak of that night, but the scars it left were not only in their minds, but etched into their very souls. Lake George remained, serene yet foreboding, its surface reflecting the sky yet concealing its horrors. For beneath its calm, the spirits waited, hungering for the next intrusion upon their watery grave. In the heart of a deep, dense forest, wrapped in the cloak of endless whispering trees, lies Lake George, a body of water so serene yet so sinister that its mere mention sends shivers down the spine of the locals. They say the lake is cursed, haunted by entities that defy the natural order, and the tragic tales that adorn its murky depths are as terrifying as they are inexplicable. It all began over a century ago when a young couple, entranced by the lake's deceptive beauty, disappeared without a trace during a midnight stroll along its bank. They were never seen again, but on the quietest of nights, you can still hear their desperate cries for help echoing across the water. Since then, Lake George has been a focal point for the unexplained and the supernatural. People whisper of evil phantoms that materialize in the mist, of ghastly figures seen rising from the depths, and of a chilling cold that seeps into your bones, not from the night air, but from the touch of the unseen. One foggy evening, a group of thrill-seeking teenagers decided to challenge the legends and camp beside the infamous waters. As twilight melted into darkness, an eerie silence enveloped them, a silence far too complete for the natural world. Suddenly, the surface of the lake began to bubble and churn as if something massive, something unspeakable, was about to emerge. The terrified screams of the teenagers were abruptly cut off, leaving behind a silence even more profound than before. By morning, their campsite was found undisturbed, their belongings left as if they would return at any moment, but of the teenagers, there was no sign. Investigators and curious seekers have tried to unravel the mystery of Lake George, only to add to its lore. Some are found, speaking incoherently of shadows that whisper their name, while others are swallowed by the lake, leaving no trace behind. Among the many tales, one of the most chilling involves a lone fisherman who, in defiance of the ominous warnings, set out to fish in the heart of the lake. As the night drew closer, an unnatural fog descended upon the water, and the fisherman saw ghastly apparitions swirling in the mist, each face twisted in horror, recounting tales of death and despair. He tried to flee, but his boat wouldn't move, as if the lake itself had come alive, holding him captive. When the mist finally cleared at dawn, the boat was found adrift, but of the fisherman, there was no sign, save for his wide-eyed terror captured in the last photo he took, a photo that showed nothing but the dark, still waters of the lake. Lake George embodies a terror that is both ancient and alive, an entity that feeds on fear and speculation. Despite the chilling tales and the warnings, the allure of its mysteries continues to draw the curious and the brave. Some say the lake is a gateway to another realm, a limbo for lost souls ensnared by its beauty, forever doomed to wander its depths. The truth of Lake George remains buried in its waters, a puzzle that tempts yet terrifies. Those who have dared to uncover its secrets warn others to heed the tales. For the lake is not just a body of water, but a living, breathing presence, guarding its mysteries with a malevolent vigilance. The haunting of Lake George is not merely a story. It is a warning, for some places on this earth are meant to remain untouched, their secrets too terrifying to be revealed.